Hi, this is Arjun here. I'm the head of research at InvestorKit, and I'm joined by my dear friend Luke and valued client of ours. And we thought we'd just have this catch up today to look back at Luke's journey of working with our team, the portfolio that he's scaled to date, as well as just the experience he's had in between, and any golden nuggets that he might have for anyone kind of tuning into this and wanting to start or scale a property portfolio that just comes back to them in the long term, whether it's growing a passive income, building generational wealth, or just not feeling bad about your cash that's building up and put it on the side somewhere. Whatever your goal is, we'll let you decide. So Luke, thank you for joining me, mate, and taking time out of your day to catch up and share the goods about what's been happening.
Pleasure.
Mate, Luke, I want to take you back to when we first started working together. And for those kind of maybe from the finish line, going back to the start, I was never really the finish line for you anyway, because you just keep buying. But when I look at the where we are today, we've worked on a portfolio where we've had an asset in Queanbeyan, Coffs Harbour, Brisbane, and Adelaide. So that's 3 states, 4 cities, multi-million-dollar portfolio built in the midst of a pandemic, and also very, very quickly. So now that's where we are today. If we go back to where it started, what made you turn the switch on and just go, all right, I'm going to do this?
It's a good question. And I've been thinking about it a little bit. There's kind of 2 answers to give. The first being, albeit controversial, property doesn't excite me as much as it might other people, yourself included, but I'd realize the benefits outweigh my personal interests. And I suppose that's probably one of the reasons why I pursued you. And the second reason was time, knowing how dedicated and time consuming my career is, and realizing that to take a step back and do the amount of research that you do would be a massive step back in pursuing what I'm good at, and realizing that utilizing your services is the same as a client utilizing mine. You hire a professional to do a professional's job, and truthfully, it's just been nothing but that. It's just professional and outstanding results. So the minute we jumped in on number 1, I knew I wanted to do 10 more,
And when you think of the gaps in between these purchases, they've been fairly short now, or very short. Fairly is probably a soft word, so too soft of a word to use. When you look at that, has it just been a business transaction for you to just go, it's part of a greater thing that I'm putting together, and I'm capable, I'm able to do it, I had a good experience, and I'll just keep doing it? Or has it been like, there's an X number of assets you wanted to pick up in a certain time frame? So I'm trying to come back to, was this a very goal-driven approach, or was this more of just a habit now as part of day-to-day life?
As for the very first one, that was it took me a bit of convincing. I don't know if you remember, but it took me a bit of getting through that emotional part. However, once I overcame that sort of decision fatigue, I don't know, the hesitation towards the first, the second, third, and fourth were easy. It went from being an emotionally driven decision to a tactically driven decision, and changing that mindset has been the biggest benefit to see the biggest results. Once I started looking at them as transactional, everything has just been gravy. It's been great.
I remember the first one very clearly, my friend. It reminds me of that first moment you get a nice car, you're handing it out to the valet, and you're like, do I trust this dude?
Yeah.
Do I want to give him the keys? You're like, should I?
I was dubious in the first. I was like, fuck, I don't know, is this the right? I don't know. And I was second guessing myself. But once we got that one locked in, secure, and then a tenant in place, I just thought, no, this is too good to be true. This is too easy. Let's do this again and again and again. And we have.
Mate, for those subsequent purchases, one thing that I have to take my hat off to you on, in terms of just a personal skill set and quality and how you operate. And I just want to know where it's come from and how you think this is built up for you, is your decisiveness. Like, you've been able to take a step back and go, yes, no, off the back of, and I feel like it's been getting even easier for you as time's gone on. So where does that come from for you?
I would put that down to my career in the motor trade, so I buy and sell cars, and just from experience, I mean, it gets harder the first time you make that purchase on a Tesla, or the first time you make that purchase on a Lamborghini, or whatever it might be. The first time you buy something that's different is a hard step to make, but the second, third, and fourth just get easier and easier and easier. And having that backing, knowing that you've done it before and it isn't as scary and as hard as you thought it was going to be, makes the next decision easier and easier. So I think that just comes from a career background.
But for people, who are out there going, hey, Luke's a successful business owner. He's has clients that he supports in terms of his business, and he works in the vehicle industry and does that very well, and makes a great living out of it. And I would say when they look at it, they go, okay, what if this person wasn't using a buyer's agent? Take a moment to step back and just go, hey, we don't meet, we don't catch up. You got a crap load of cash on the side. What do you do now? Like, how do you feel the result would have been, or any, if we didn't catch up and go through this journey together?
So it's interesting that you are, because I was in that position for maybe 3 to 4 years before I touched base with you. And I cycled through and viewed quite a few houses. And I even came to the decision that I was going to buy the block, buy get a duplex made. I was looking at those sort of, in my opinion, amateur ways of looking at it. And I realized that the effort involved into those decisions wasn't worth the reward. And I can't remember the term that we used, but it was decision fatigue. There was so many things going through my mind where I just couldn't commit to any particular one. And I postponed it. And then there was all these talks about interest rate hikes and housing prices. And you just think, oh, it'll get cheaper, it'll get easier, it'll get better. And it never does, It might fluctuate a little bit here and there, but truth is I should have jumped in 4 years ago when it was first a thought. And I kind of regret not doing that, but I definitely don't regret jumping in when I did, despite being in a pandemic and despite what was happening with the world. It was better to jump in and get it done.
Did you have any tips that you'd say that you could give others for when it comes to blocking out the noise? Because guess what? Like, there was the most noise in the world when it came to the time that you've gone and achieved these amazing things for building a portfolio. Pandemic, government change, or the thoughts of government change policies, or whatever it may be, news cycles, people talking about 30% drops, all of that's there. And how did you block it all out?
Well, albeit in my opinion too late, I wish I jumped in earlier. It's one of those things, fortune favors the brave. And although I wasn't brave at the start, despite the noise that was happening, I knew that just from experience, I had to get in there. And it's been one of the best things that's happened. And even looking forward to, I was just reading the news before we even connected now, and they'll, RBA's, as you know, raised their interest rates and all the rest of it. And pardon me, they're talking about housing prices collapsing and all this fear that the media is trying to get us to believe. But personally, I have full intentions of hitting you up in about 6 weeks' time and buying another one. It doesn't mean anything to me. And I know the world is never going to completely collapse and end. So we just got to keep punching, swinging, doing the best that we can.
And mate, as you've acquired these assets, do you feel like there's now a less sort of worry about finances as more assets have come into the books? And the reason why I say that is some people get attached to this idea of, more debt. But looking at the journey, there's been 3 different states, 4 different properties, all with huge rents compared to purchase price level. So when you think of all of that, how does your mindset, how would you explain your mindset around holding these assets and your thoughts with your finances as if compared to if you only had one property and you're hoping for this one property to do everything?
I mean, putting all your eggs in one basket is never a great idea. And diversifying assets is ideal. But the fear of the debt never really, and still hasn't really crossed my mind, knowing that it's paying itself off. And I'll continue to grow it to the best that I can. Yeah, the debt never really, once again, it's one of those things which you overthink. You might get stuck in a position where you think, shit, like it's hovering over my head and I'm never going to be able to pay it off. But truthfully, that's not really the goal. It's just to keep them, setting them in place and letting them pay themselves off. And they're assets which we buy to look after our future. And that's exactly what they're doing. So just let them do what they're designed to do.
Mate, on this journey, you've experienced on-market property, off-market property, auction sales. You've experienced the whole plethora of property investing in the way of transacting. You've obviously got a lot of experience when it comes to auction backgrounds and in that world and in the vehicle space as well. Do you want to take it back to that moment where we actually purchased the auction and, you know, comparable price analysis and the setting of pricing? I deal with many who might also be on that first time buying, and they get shocked by the variances between like agent price and what we say, or what the, you know, their thoughts are looking at comparable sales versus ours. I guess I want to go to just that process in which, you know, you've seen our comparable analysis, that trust process of going through it, understanding where we come from and our methodology. Do you have any comments more on that journey there when we look at that auction property that we purchased in Queanbeyan?
Look, I can't offer you any more insight than we probably already discussed. The one thing which I will reiterate, however, is that I think between you and I, we both agreed that we looked at the property, assessed it, we FaceTimed at the time, and we thought, you know what, this is 1.2. And that was what we decided. And I agreed, and I thought, yep, bang on. And although internally I just thought, no, you know what, I really like this one. I want to own it. There's something about it which just speaks right. Definitely factor in your heart, but don't be emotionally burdened if it doesn't go through. So we went up to 1.24. I was raising my hand. That was the final bid. And it was purely transactional in my head. I thought, you know what, if this lady who I was competing against goes one more, no problems. I'm totally sweet to walk away. I'm happy as Larry that I came down. I, you know, tried my best, and I suppose that's all we can do. So I did. I raised my hand 1.24. She didn't compete, and the rest is history. But it's just acknowledging that your emotions are there, but choosing the logical decision regardless. That's, I suppose, the only thing I could reiterate from before.
Yeah, I remember that comp range 1.2 to 1.25 around there, and we had 10K left in that range before it crossed over, and it's pretty epic, like especially auction ones, because there's just so much that can go in pricing, and to see it come out just shows the power of that kind of teamwork there. Mate, with regards to the journey from here, how do you see property investing now longer term? As someone who's, you know, operating and being able to accumulate these assets pretty quickly, do you see it as more like a park your wealth area? Do you see it as, hey, we're going to figure out how to create an income stream from this eventually? Where is this all leading to?
Probably a park your wealth and secure your future perspective. I have no intentions of selling or drawing from any of the houses which we've purchased for any short-term gain, because I don't believe that's necessary. I'm happy to just let it continue to build, knowing that in 20, 30, 40 years time, if I choose or want to do something different or reinvest or pull out of a business, whatever it may be, knowing that stability and backing is there ready for me. So I have full intentions to let it grow, but I have no intentions of selling them anytime soon. Maybe remortgaging for an extra purchase here and there, but yeah, I'm not going to be selling them anytime soon. I'm stoked with every single one.
Cool. Mate, I think the last couple of things that come to my mind here, just, you know, dissecting the journey, is when we look at these properties, none of them look similar to each other. They all have a different look and feel. And I mean, from the outside looking in, I don't feel like you've you've been someone that's like overly connected or not connected with the look and feel of it, because each one has its own kind of point of difference or different vibe. How do you, like, what tip do you have for, I guess, investors who just kind of go, oh, I don't like the look of it, I don't like the feel of it, because they've produced the results nonetheless, right?
Yeah, so that's a half truth. So it's interesting that you bring that up, because the one thing which I've learned and it's something that, friends, family, grandparents, whoever have told you, is to buy something cheap, do it up, and either sell it for a profit or rent it out, whatever it may be. But going into business in cars and with you, I've realized that that's the exact opposite of what I think you should be doing. And that is to be buying something that's unique, ready to go, doesn't require the work. And that's something which I believe has been consistent. It's all the properties that we've purchased, they're fresh. They're either recently had kitchen done, or there's something really appealing about them. And then going for that price point, it might not be the cheapest, or it might not be the most budget house in that market, but they're all unique in their own ways. And that's what I think I've learned doing business with you, and will continue to do, is those really, the unique. I used the word unique a few times there, but they're the ones which I've been targeting the most. They're the ones which I've found the most success with.
I guess the good thing about them is, like, there's that point of difference, like you're saying, right? And from ocean views to huge backyards to proximity to certain popular pockets, or the grand houses, like, I guess it's kind of like a 50-50. It's like almost, yes, there's a part of you that took into consideration the feel of the places, but then there's another part of you that's like, hey, well, actually, point of difference is just an upside at the end of the day. It captures that little bit of emotion from future buyers when it comes to comparable sales and things like that. So when it comes to these markets, you've never been, to visit them. You've never, except for I think one of them where you got a chance to catch out the auction, but they're in locations that you clearly don't live in. They're all across the country. How did you detach yourself from that whole physical and touchy feel part of property?
Not gonna lie, that was the hardest part about the first one, was buying something sight unseen. But with your help, the numerous FaceTime, the video recordings which you sent me, and the detailed reports which I was able to go through, it made me realize that I don't know what I'd be looking for. I mean, if I was to go up to that first one and actually walk around the house, the information that you provided me was more detailed than anything that I would have been able to do. So that really removed the fear from the purchase. And once we've gone through that, it was pretty straightforward. And I'll continue to do it, no problems.
Well, mate, the last two things I'd like to go through, and I know you'll find this next point a bit interesting, mate. I don't know if you've done the tally, but you've paid us over $50,000 in professional fees since working together. That's a lot of money for people who might buy property and sell. Their mate bought a house and didn't use a buyer's agent, or another friend bought their house and they didn't use a buyer's agent. Yet you continue to trust, believe in that. You've seen results from it. Taking a look at reflecting on this across multiple purchases, a fee each time, professionals on your side. Do you have any advice for others who might be on the fence of investing in that buyer's agent, component, and comparing it to the results that you've achieved there?
And once again, the first one was obviously, it was a bit dubious. I was thinking, am I doing the right thing? I was obviously a bit cautious, but once I got past that first one, I haven't even really looked at the fees, to be honest with you. I've just realized that it's just such good value. It's like seeing a 2-for-1 deal or something, when you just, your eyes look at it and go, damn, that's value to me. And in future, I have absolutely no issues in paying another 15, 30, whatever it may be, because I realize the value is there. And I've even offered very close friends of mine who I trust, I've offered to go halves in their fee, because I realize that they will see the value once they've jumped in that to buy their first investment with you. So I have no issues in doing it 10 times again.
Mate, thank you so much for your kind words and all the success that you've had on this investing journey as well. I'm looking forward to the many years ahead of what's truly possible with the portfolio. Again, for those tuning in and watching this, Luke and I have worked together over the last couple of years, and looking back from assets in Brisbane to Adelaide, Coffs Harbour, Queanbeyan, timed buying windows across 4 different markets, well over $500,000 in generated equity over such a short period of time. And mate, I'm excited to see, the future that gets created off the back of that. So thank you again for being a friend, client, and your time here today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Chat to you soon.